Welcome back to World Affairs in Context, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. After laying off thousands of employees and closing several factories for the first time in its history, Volkswagen made a quite shocking announcement. The company's CEO said that it now welcomes an opportunity to produce weapons as part of the EU's multi-billion euro militarization plan. In Germany, idle production capacity in the struggling car industry is likely to be repurposed, is likely to be converted for the defense industry, or if you'd like to be more straightforward and honest, for the offense industry. You may recall that in early March, Ursula von der Leyen announced the need to rearm Europe and to create two separate funds of up to $870 billion in total. And so this is just part of the plan. I will remind you that during World War II, Volkswagen produced military vehicles and they also produced bombs. They produced flying bombs for the Wehrmacht, or in other words, for Hitler's armed Nazi forces. So Volkswagen is going back in time, in a sense. Volkswagen's move to shift from manufacturing vehicles to producing weapons makes perfect business sense, since as consumer demand dropped in Germany and in the EU as a whole, production stalled, and it became clear that the EU leadership would continue its failing warmongering policies and would continue to ignore any sensible ways to restore its affordable energy supply from Russia, which would boost its industrial capacities, of course. The only way out for these large, struggling manufacturers like Volkswagen is now to switch to the dark side, to the military-industrial complex side, which is precisely what Volkswagen is on track to accomplish. The transition makes sense, of course, from a practical standpoint. The factories are already there, they're in place, they have equipment, there are workers who will be able to retain their jobs, so the unemployment rate would not go up. The only difference for them would be that they will stop producing cars and instead they will start producing tanks and other military equipment. So the EU appears to be firmly set on the path to militarize. First, the EU announced the plan to rearm, and it also said how it would fund it. It said it would create two separate funds, and now it's actually engaging manufacturers to get on board with their plan. These struggling manufacturers, the manufacturers that nearly went bankrupt because of their failing policies to begin with. Volkswagen CEO stated that he's closely examining the needs of the defense industry, and all options appear to be on the table right now, including converting civilian factories to military production. Now, Rheinmetall's CEO has already voiced his support for militarizing Volkswagen. As I briefly mentioned before in the beginning of this video, Volkswagen played a significant role in Nazi Germany, both in terms of the company's development and also its involvement in the war effort itself. It was critical in war production and even used forced labor to support the Nazi regime, believe it or not. Volkswagen, like many other German companies during that time, used prisoners of war, and it also used concentration camp inmates in production. So it seems the company is effectively going back in time, figuratively speaking. Volkswagen's financial struggles are the mirror image of Germany's economic decline. You may recall that in 2023, the economy contracted by nearly 0.5%, making it the worst performing major economy globally that year, the worst performing developed economy globally. Now, the downturn actually persisted into 2024, with projections indicating a continued recession into 2025. Germany is now preparing to boost its economy via militarization. War is good business after all. Financial Times is reporting Germany wants to end years of economic stagnation, whatever it takes. Hence, militarization. The EU needs a monster to fight, and so it's working very hard to create one. Germany's new Chancellor Friedrich Merz is set to drive the economic militarization of Germany. Financial Times says, Merz, whatever it takes, plan to unleash defense spending and overhaul German infrastructure is set to usher in the largest economic stimulus since the fall of the Berlin Wall. Germany's military manufacturer Rheinmetall has a truly massive, unseen-before backlog. Actually, according to its own website, as of December 31st, 2024, Rheinmetall's order backlog reached a record 55 billion euros, up from 38.3 billion euros a year prior. Sales are actually expected to grow by 25 to 30%. Absolutely unbelievable. Rearmament is a new business model effectively in the EU. Rheinmetall's CEO boasts, with a 50% sales growth in the defense business, Rheinmetall is on its way from being a European systems supplier to a global champion. The incoming Chancellor Merz is anticipating to strike a deal with Germany's center-left Social Democrats to allow unlimited borrowing for defense spending and also to create a 500 billion euro fund for infrastructure investments into facilities for the military-industrial complex. Not for civilian infrastructure. You're not going to get those new roads that you may want or those new subways that you might want. You're going to get more military-industrial complex facilities. And if this sounds like the rise of a new Third Reich, well, it's because it effectively is in a way. Absent US direct involvement in European affairs, Germany is Russia's potential adversary in Europe. Economists expect the plan, which is still to be approved by the majority in German parliament, can provide up to 1 trillion euros of additional borrowing over the next decade, a sum that represents more than a fifth of Germany's entire economic output, and resurrect Europe's largest economy after years of stagnation. Germany is set on boosting its economy via preparing for war. Its debt levels have already increased and they are expected to spike further once Merz's new spending plan is fully implemented. Goldman already forecasts a substantial economic boost in Germany. A growth rate of 2% is now in the cards as soon as 2026 if the plan is fully implemented, a figure that is double the investment bank's previous forecast of just 1% growth rate. The EU's plan to militarize is expected to boost its declining economies that were hit very hard by failed policies of the European Union. Volkswagen's likely conversion to produce military equipment is probably just the beginning, with more manufacturers getting on board soon. And of course, who will push for peace if you're preparing for war? As always, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about these plans, and if you're in the EU, let us know what your take on this news is. I would love to hear from you. Remember to show your support, like, subscribe, and share. It really means a lot, and I will see you back here in my new one. Take care.